If you're a builder and somebody comes to you and says, can you build me a free guitar and you'll get all the exposure you want, tell them to f*** off. So a few days ago I watched an interesting video by Peter McKinnon. It was titled Work for Free, and in that video he's talking about when or why a person should work for free and if they should. In his case, he's a photographer, so it doesn't exactly relate to Luthier, but I think the same principles are applicable. So this video will be mostly about repairers and doing free repair work and what type of repair work. But before I get into that, if you're a builder and somebody comes to you and says, can you build me a free guitar and you'll get all the exposure you want, tell them to f*** off, because that's the height of rudeness, I think, to ask a luthier that. Because giving away a guitar to somebody, it's such a massive gamble if it's going to lead to anywhere. And in my experience and the experience of people I've spoken to, it doesn't ever lead anywhere. Unless, like Eric Clapton calls you up and says, can you make me a guitar? I'll put it on the album cover and I'll play it in the studio and live for the rest of my life. Then you're going to make a guitar for him. But if it's just some hodgepodge half-ass band, you're not going to get anything out of it. So having said that, in the Peter McKinnon's video, one of his friends talks about what he coined the 3 Bs. I'm going to exchange one of the Bs, but he says that free work or not free work should be about one of these things or all of them, and I think one necessarily leads to the other two. But he talks about building bridges, building books, and building bank accounts. So obviously when you get paid, it leads to building a bank account. Building bridges is when you make friends with your customers and they tell all their friends and everyone starts coming to you. Building books, he doesn't specifically define it, but it means knowledge. So I'm going to say BKB, even though the 3 Bs sounds better. So knowledge is actually the thing that leads to the other 2 things. If you don't have knowledge, you ain't going to build bridges. Well, you'll build bad bridges or knock them down, and your bank account's going to be 0. So knowledge is, and always will be, the number one thing, the most important thing. The more you know, the better you are. I'll distill repair work down to 3 aspects, main aspects. One is structural repair work, which is loose braces, cracked tops, loose bridges, broken headstock, stuff like that. Stuff that really needs to be done. The other one is setup work, fret work, nuts, slots, action, stuff like that. The third one is aesthetics, and aesthetics aren't needed at all to help you play a really good instrument. If your guitar has a finished ding or some finishes chipping out or something like that, that is what I would describe as aesthetic work. It doesn't need to be done. The guitar is totally fine without it. It's just like a kind of a finish blemish. The aesthetic stuff is what takes the most time to repair. So anyone can glue up a crack, but to make that crack really disappear, it's pretty hard. And if you've got a chip out on a coloured instrument, a sonic blue electric guitar or something, it's pretty hard to replace that colour and then finish over it and make it look pretty seamless. And I found that aesthetic work takes the longest to develop the skills in order to do it really well. So that brings me to the free question. What should you do for free? Should you ever do it? Well, as a luthier, it takes a long time to develop skills that enable you to work on expensive instruments. You have to prove yourself before anyone's going to trust you with their $20,000 Martin. So a good way to go about that is to practice on a cheap instrument. I'm not doing everything I would do with, filling these cracks and gluing them properly with high glue and a wooden splint and colorizing and everything. But I did put light colored epoxy in the cracks, and then I'm going to go back and colorize them to match them. Basically what I'm doing is free work on this to build my color skills, my repair skills and my finishing or refinishing of vintage instrument finishes, so I can charge what I should be getting paid on a vintage instrument with a customer who has a expensive instrument and the money to pay for a proper repair. No one is going to pay you money if you don't know how to do it, or you've never done it before, or can't prove that you can do it. You might be some sort of savant and be able to do it perfectly the first time, but if you're human with 10 or less fingers, then you're going to have to practice. And practicing on an instrument like this, or, a Squire Strat or something like that, builds the understanding of what it takes to do a really good repair. In order to get better at, let's stick to aesthetic work, you have to practice it. And you can either practice on a piece of scrap or a guitar that you own yourself, or you can practice on somebody else's guitar. Now, they might not want to pay for all that, and that's the bank account of the 3Bs. But what I like to do, not all the time, but occasionally, is to do, well, here's a guitar I prepared earlier. This is a 1930s Sears thing. It's called a College Pal, which is a really weird name for a guitar. But this is worth like $700 in really good condition, but it's totally screwed. It's got a lifting, well, the top was bulging, top crack, really fat back cracks, like 2 mil wide. If that was an expensive instrument, I would be, going all out and putting splines in it and making it look really nice. But because this is probably worth, in its current condition, like $50, $100 maybe, the customer wants me to just do as much as I can, as cheap as I can, and that's totally fine. So with this guitar, I just have been doing as much as I can, as quickly as I can, and it's not an aesthetically pleasing result. It's, it's colored epoxy. The color isn't perfect, but it's going to get this guitar up and running again, it's either that or it goes in the bin or just as a wall hanger. And by the way, the repair work is structurally sound. It will have all the criteria of the other two, it just won't be aesthetically pleasing. But what I like to do is to work on these cheap instruments, work on my color work, practice my color work with different pigments and dyes and paint, brush work and stuff like that, and also finish work. It's really hard to repair a vintage finish and have it still look vintagey. But what I'm going to do, and do it for free, is to practice my color work on this, because I rather work on somebody's guitar for free and get more feathers in my cap in regard to knowledge than work on a piece of scrap or my own guitar. Because when I work on somebody else's guitar, I build bridges as well as gain or develop more knowledge. And when you do that, when you over-deliver, you gain a customer for life. They'll tell all their friends about you, and you'll get much more work. You'll get paid work, and your knowledge base has gone up. So it's like 5 things. And that is how you become a better repairer and you stay in business. If you just come out of the gate expecting, come out of Luthier school or somewhere, and you hang your shingle and you expect everyone to come running at your door, you're going to be sitting there twiddling your thumbs because no one knows you, you don't have the experience, people don't know how good you are, that sort of thing. So to at least occasionally, or as much as you need to, really, is a better way to do it. You probably do it more when you're starting out and phase it out when you get better and more known. But, once or twice a year, I'm doing free work to keep up my chops. And I might only spend an hour, doing some color work. But when I do that, what happens is you have the knowledge to work on something like this. So that's a cheap guitar. This is a $10,000 style 6 guitar, Brazilian rosewood. If you have the skills and the knowledge base and you've built bridges because of that, then you'll get all the work that you could ever dream of, and you have now the opportunity to pick and choose what you say no to or say yes to. So doing repair work isn't a step backwards at all. It can be if you're just doing that, constantly. But if you are gaining experience from every free job that you do, or free aspect of a job that you do, that is, how much is that worth? I worked on a piece of junk bright blue Dean guitar, and I did a good job of it, did it quick and cheap, and I did a bit of extra color work on that, and that gained me like a full restoration of a banner. I think it was a 1944 banner LG2 Gibson. That's great. That's what you want. To be able to work on interesting and good instruments is probably the most desirable aspect of being a repairer. So don't be afraid to do free work. It's not a dirty word. It doesn't have to be. It can be used in a sleazy way, like when a half-assed musician asks for a free guitar or something. Like I said, tell them to f*** off. But there's certainly a real opportunity to gain knowledge and practice when you do that on a customer's guitar and you over-deliver a fantastic job, assuming you do a fantastic job. But even if it's a real cheap guitar and you just make it structurally sound again, even if something goes wrong, you can just wipe away all the color and you're back to where you were before, and you just deliver what you said you would. So you can't lose, really. I guess you could if you spend like 40 hours doing free work on one instrument and then the customer doesn't even notice. That would be kind of a kick in the face, but just keep your head on, and it's beneficial to gain knowledge through practicing on somebody's instrument. So I hope that helps. Like, subscribe, all that sort of stuff. I'm Beau Hannam, and I have spirit fingers. So yeah.